All right, folks, breaking news. Secretary of State Marco Rubio flew out to Israel, landed, went to the Western Wall. Let's hear his press conference in front of the airplane that took him to the land of Israel and understand why he came here to Israel specifically. Let's hear that. Let's go to Marco Rubio.
What is the message to the Prime Minister on this?
Well, look, the U.S.-Israeli relationship is very strong. It continues to be strong. The president wants this conflict to end. He wants all the hostages out, all 48 of them, living and deceased. Obviously, we're concerned that events last week, he didn't like the way it went down. He's expressed that publicly.
Okay, so the president of the United States wants to see the hostages released. I don't know why we hear that first. To me, we need the words victory over jihadism first. And the hostages second, way down. First and foremost is to destroy our enemies and have total victory. So I didn't really like this phrase that Rubio starts with, like, get the hostages. I think he's trying to please the Israeli public, but I'm not pleased by that.
There's concern that perhaps that could, we'll talk about, what impact it's going to have on efforts to get all the hostages back, get rid of Hamas, and this war. That's the president's priority.
What leverage can the U.S. bring to bear on that?
Well, I don't know about leverage. Look, our relationship with Israel is very strong. Everybody knows that. I wouldn't call it leverage. I do think we have influence. I think because we've worked on so many things together. So we'll be there to express that and also to express the president's views, which is that he wants Hamas defeated. He wants the war to end. He wants all 48 hostages home, including those that are deceased. And he wants it all at once. Like, he wants all the hostages now, not 5 and 10 and piecemeal. And we'll have to discuss about how the events last week had an impact on the ability to achieve that in short order.
Are you fully supportive of an offensive into Gaza City? What are you going to talk to the Israelis about on that front?
I don't know if we should get into that. I'm not going to get into that in the media, other than to say the president wants this to be finished with. And finished with meaning 48 hostages released all at once, Hamas no longer a threat, so we can move on to the next phase, which is how do you rebuild Gaza? How do you provide security? How do you make sure Hamas or anything like it never comes back again? That's the president's priority. That's always been his priority.
So I don't always understand this business. Like, get it done fast, get all the hostages, and get rid of Hamas. Like, I don't always understand that. Like, maybe it's not gonna work out that way. Maybe it's not gonna work out that you can have it all fast, get your hostages. Like, it's a war. It's a war. Wars don't follow this kind of neat math. It's a war. And I think that we are not going to get it exactly the way we want it. And I think that it's sending the wrong message to me. I think the message should be Israel's got to defeat Hamas, destroy it, and clean out that Gaza Strip. Here come the refugees to, like Dr. Mordechai Kedar said, to Qatar or to Egypt, whatever. And okay, that's how we're going to move forward. I think to me, this is not exactly clear messaging. It's a messaging that sounds like a lot of pressure on Israel to seal it up fast. Seal it up fast is like, I had surgery some months ago. Imagine if somebody was like, yeah, doctor, come on, seal it up fast. Like, don't seal it up fast. Seal it up good. Don't go fast. I don't, when you're dealing with a very entrenched enemy, it's much more important to talk about the long range impact of doing it right.
And that's what we're going to try to move forward on. And part of what we're going to have to discuss as part of this visit is how the events of last week with Qatar impact that.
There's definitely a question mark about the attack on Qatar. Look, Qatar plays an awesome double game. Okay, they play an exquisite double game. They fund Hamas, help plan the 7th of October, and, are in bed with the Americans and, have a very legitimate face. And by the way, there's a battle for legitimacy. And in many ways, globally speaking, Qatar is more legitimate than Israel. When was the last time you heard 170 countries vote on something against Qatar? But you have that at the UN all the time. So clearly Qatar is more legitimate than Israel, this Hamas supporting country.
The Qataris will still work with the U.S.?
I met with them. Vice President and I met with the Prime Minister yesterday. I know they had dinner with the President last night.
President of Qatar, that is.
We have a relationship with them as well. We've been working on a number of things with them. They've been, for example, very helpful in the DRC, Rwanda, or with the M23. They've been hosting those talks. So we had a visit there earlier this year. I did, and then went back a second time with the president. So they've been good partners on a number of fronts.
What about the president's plane, Mr. Secretary? Is there any questions or
No, it never came up.
impacted in any way?
It never came up with me or in any conversation we had.
But you think
Concerned at all that they may follow through on their threat to do strikes again in Qatar?
Who's this, Israeli?
The Israelis.
Yeah, look, we're going to meet with them. We're going to talk about what the future holds and what I'm going to get a much better understanding of what their plans are moving forward. What's happened has happened. Obviously, we were not happy about it. The president was not happy about it. Now we need to move forward and figure out what comes next. Because at the end of the day, when all is said and done, there is still a group called Hamas, which is an evil group that still has weapons and is terrorizing. There is still 48 hostages that deserve to be released immediately, all at once. And there is still the hard work ahead of, once this ends, of rebuilding Gaza in a way that provides people a quality of life that they all want. And who's going to do that? Who's going to pay for it? And who's going to be in charge of it? So all that work's still there to be done. All that still needs to be dealt with.
Okay, so what needs to be dealt with is the destruction of Hamas, the rescue of the hostages, and finally the issue of the rebuilding of Gaza. Okay, these are big things. As I've said to you, my friends, many times, I say it to you again, there's really only one solution. That solution is Israeli sovereignty over Gaza. Okay, and getting rid of combatants, getting rid of non-combatants who are jihadists, and letting people free leave who want a different life somewhere else, and letting decent folks, Arabs who want to be residents in Israel, letting them have that opportunity as well. That's the solution, Israeli control. All these middle things, all these like get it done quick, it's not going to give solutions. And at the end, Qatar, they're playing an awesome double game, but they're enemies of Israel. And they are pro-jihad, pro-Hamas, and anti-America at the end of the day. And they play just a fabulous double game. Really, when I say fabulous, I just mean to say I respect them so much for being able to pull this off. You know, Israel's barely able to pull off legitimacy when it's the most legitimate country in the world. It has the most history of almost any country in the world in its land. It's an amazing thing, you know, and it's godly, it's biblical, it's historical, it's just, you know, and there was no other real, you know, sovereign there. So in Jerusalem. And so, okay, you know, like Israel's so legitimate, but we can't pull it off. And yet this like joke of a kingdom who's just very wealthy and knows how to strategically place that money has done a great job at playing a double game. I mean, everybody knows that they broadcast anti-American stuff through Al Jazeera, and yet they host the American army. You got to be smart to do it that way, and my hat's off to them. Okay, so Rubio wants to solve the problems, and the president not so happy about the attack in Qatar. United States president also has a vision for the beautification of Gaza, which I love. You know, I'd love to see that Gaza be beautiful and flourishing, flowering. I don't like when they talk about getting this done fast. I don't think that helps anybody. On the other hand, I can understand where they're coming from because they just see that the Israeli PR machine is just in the pits vis-a-vis the war in Gaza and the strike in Qatar.
you're not happy with it, does it mean we ask the Israelis not to do this again?
I think the president's comments speak for themselves on that front. In essence, he didn't like the way it went down. But that said, it's not going to shake. Our relationship with Israel is going to remain strong. And sometimes, you know, things happen or come up in those relationships that perhaps you're not 100% aligned with or what have you. But it's not going to change the nature of our relationship with the Israelis. But we are going to have to talk about it. Primarily, what impact does this have? What happened? What impact does that have moving forward on what comes next?
Should Israel withdraw its troops from Gaza City in this Operation Gideon's Fury? Should they pull back from that invasion?
Yeah, we're not talking about that or anything of that nature. I mean, that certainly won't be what I'm going to communicate.
So they're asking, should Israel pull back from Gaza City, from the Gaza City operation? And Rubio keeps saying, I'm not going there. I'm not going to discuss that. I want to talk about it with the Israelis. I have to say, I like Rubio's rhetoric. I like the way he talks. I like his very measured tone and language, and that he's kind of not off the cuff. He's like, look, I want to talk to Israelis about that. We didn't necessarily like what they did, but that doesn't mean that we don't have a relationship. Like his expressions, the way he expresses himself is he's a statesman. And I think that he is perfect for this role of U.S. Secretary of State, and I also love the fact that he's deporting jihadis and not allowing jihadis in the country. I think that's absolutely key. If you can't stop the immigration of bad ideas through the immigration of bad people, you won't be able to do anything as Secretary of State. Secretary of State is supposed to defend the state, right? That's his job, and so I think he's the man to do it.
We just want to know what comes next. How do we get the 48 hostages out? What's the plan to defeat Hamas? So we can get to the next phase.
Let's move on.
Go ahead.
Let's move on the settlements that they recognized the other day, that Netanyahu said signed off on the E1 settlement that splits the West Bank in half.
Yeah.
You know, people say that means basically there's no Palestinian state in the future.
Basically, what about the settlements? What about the sovereignty plan? That's what we call it here in Israel, asserting sovereignty over 82% of Judea and Samaria. What about that? Let's see how he answers this, Rubio.
Yeah, look, I think part of that is a reaction to, that's an Israeli reaction to these efforts around the world to recognize a Palestinian state, including from countries in Europe and Canada and others that have signed on to this thing.
So he's saying that it's an Israeli reaction to efforts around the world to pull the carpet out from under Israel and to recognize a Palestine on our land. And he's saying it's an Israeli reaction.
I think it comes on the precipice of these meetings at the UN where it's going to become a topic. So I think that's the Israeli response to that. And we warned them. We warned a lot of these countries around the world that that's what would happen, or what we thought might happen if they went ahead with this. So I'm sure that'll come up in the conversation.
So he's saying, listen carefully. He's saying this is a natural response. This is what was going to happen because Israel is being challenged by other people recognizing somebody else, a sovereign on our soil. And Rubio's saying, we warned the world, these European countries and others, we warned these countries, that's what's going to happen. Israel's going to unilaterally declare sovereignty in Judea and Samaria. Just parenthetically, I want to say, I hate the idea that our declaration of sovereignty is linked up to somebody else's declaration of Palestine, as though it's a punishment. Hello! If it's your land, take it, declare it, notwithstanding what the jerks are doing. If it's your land, declare it. Don't make it. It's not I'm going to punish you. I'm going to punish you by declaring sovereignty on my own land. That sounds dumb. If it's your land, be sovereign in your land. Be like, it's my land, bro. And I'm going to be sovereign here. And I don't care what the heck you're doing. If it's just as it's like it's some kind of tit for tat, it just makes me feel tawdry and cheap, as though I'm punishing somebody by declaring sovereignty over my land. That's not the way it is. It's my land because it's my historical homeland. It's God-given. It's historic. It's our third commonwealth here. There was no other sovereign. There's certainly no Palestine. It's a total invention. Hello? It's our land. Okay? So you want to declare sovereignty. But, okay, now we're talking to a diplomat. He's a chief diplomat in some ways, and he's saying in a diplomatic language, well, we warned the European countries that if you try to force a Palestine onto Israel, then Israel's going to declare sovereignty. I guess that is a cudgel, a bat that Israel can use against the declaration of Palestinianism. You know what? Maybe I'm just simple. I'm a little bit like dumb. You know what I mean? I'm simple. I'm just simple-minded. To me, it's like, don't create a Palestinian Authority on your land. Don't use that word about your land, because if you do, somebody else will be like, well, they mean to say that this should be an Arab country. Don't do that. And then if it's yours, declare it. Don't wait for the bad guys to do something. And be simple. Be simple. I don't think but the world has become a very complex place, and there's a complex like chessboard out there, which I don't personally understand, and I don't think is very effective. And bottom line is, when I look at the world, I think to myself, Israel, you haven't done exactly a great PR job at explaining why this is your land. Now you're using this moment to punish the world by declaring sovereignty. You know what? I'll take it. If that's what we got to do to get sovereignty in our land is for having the world declare that it's a Palestine, then okay, you know what I mean? Let's do it that way. But I say that in Judaism, that's called b'di'evid. That's like a second option, and not lechatchila, which is the first option.
And that's all I'm going to say about it for now.
Isn't it contradictory to what you guys want, which is to,
Sir,
you know...
I want
invasive species.
Did I kill it? I don't know what that is. All
Isn't
right.
it just doing more to inflame tensions with Palestinians and get further away?
Well, it all began when these countries start going out there and doing this recognition of a Palestinian state. We told them there's going to be a counter reaction to that by the Israelis, and I think that's what you've seen. So we're going to talk about that holistically in terms of how it impacts the entirety of it.
Look, what is Rubio saying here? Rubio's saying the Europeans are the troublemakers. I just boiled it down for you. That's what he's saying. He's like, the Europeans are troublemakers. They want to tell, like the white colonialists that they are, they want to tell Israel what to do. They want to tell Israel who should be sovereign in our land. They want to get in our business because they can't get out of our business, and because the Europeans have a sick relationship to Israel, a sick, what's the word I'm looking for? When you're like just totally obsessed. That's the word. They are obsessed with us. They're obsessed with Israel. They're obsessed with shrinking Israel. They're obsessed to allow what's happened to them, which is that their countries became jihadists, to do that to us. They've got this manic thing. So what Rubio's saying in Diplo speak is, you started it, and now don't be surprised that Israel is going to assert sovereignty.
I'm sure it's a topic of conversation.
In Colombia, have you made a decision yet about whether or not you'll certify them? I know that deadline.
Well, we might have an announcement on that next week.
Will you inaugurate this tunnel in the Temple Mount on Tuesday? There have been reports of that.
Well, let me tell you, the city of David is separate. I intend to go to that. I've been to that before, many years. That's an archaeological site. It's one of the most important archaeological sites in the world. I visited it numerous times in the past. I understand people want to involve politics in it. I understand everything in this region is political to some extent. But at the end of the day, it's an extraordinary archaeological site. It just is, and I think an important one for multiple faiths.
Okay, that was awesome. Okay, he's saying the city of David, which my good friend Zev Ornstein is the director of international affairs. Rubio says, I'm going to the city of David. I'm going to recognize the big, beautiful pilgrimage road from the Siloam Pool to the Temple Mount, which has been uncovered underneath the Arab neighborhood in Jerusalem of Silwan. This archaeological finding, of which you can learn a lot about by going to Yishai Fleischer TV and seeing our Tisha B'Av special about the city of David and the tour that we did there. Says Marco Rubio, I am going there, and I'm going to recognize it because it is a biblical archaeological site, and I'm not going to allow this to be turned into politics. It's much more than politics, and that's one of the things that Marco Rubio is doing here, which is recognizing that biblical connection to the land. Overall, so far, you see that he gave Israel a little rap on the knuckles about striking Qatar, but basically said, listen, we got to destroy Hamas. We got to get those hostages out. Judea and Samaria, he said, well, we told you so. If you're going to push Palestine, then Jews are going to recognize Judea and Samaria. And then he said, city of David, it's a biblical heritage site, which a magnificent site, which I want to be part of. I want to be part of great human biblical, godly archaeology. I want to touch that. I want to touch Jerusalem, biblical Jerusalem. And I think he's spot on.
Qatar, I think starting Monday is going to meet with regional allies in the Gulf to come up with a response to the attacks. Are you going to bring a message to the Prime Minister about that?
Well, we talked to them a little bit about it yesterday. I'm not sure they've yet settled on exactly what it is they're going to ask of their allies in the region. I don't think it's breaking news that multiple countries in the region were upset about what happened. We're unhappy about it. Obviously, we're not going to be at that meeting. I don't think they've yet settled on exactly what it is they're going to raise as their message at that meeting. But our focus now is moving forward. What comes next? Because when all is said and done, despite what happened earlier this week in Qatar and Doha, we still have to deal with the 48 hostages, and they need to be released. We still have to deal with Hamas, which nobody in the region wants to see stay in place. And we still have to deal with, when that is settled and done, how do you rebuild Gaza so that and in a way that this never happens again. All right, let's go. One more.
So there he is again, trumpeting those 3 points. Get the hostages freed, get rid of Hamas, rebuild Gaza. Okay, I can't disagree with that. I have to say, good. I'd love to see it be under Israeli sovereignty, but the Secretary of State is very, very clear what he's saying. He's like, look, we got to get the hostages back, destroy the bad guys, and rebuild this thing. You know what? I want to see it rebuilt. Just so you know, I want to see it rebuilt. I want to see Gaza rebuilt. I want to see it flourishing. I want to see it flourishing for Arabs and Jews. I want to see it flourishing for this region. It's like a sore. It's like a sore, Gaza. Instead of being a sore, let it be beautiful. Let it be alive. And I've always said about President Trump as a former New Yorker, we know what President Trump is. He's a real estate guy. He is a real estate mogul. And he understands the power of a beautiful Gaza. The power of a beautiful Gaza. Just think about that. Think about Yishai saying to you, like, it doesn't have to be this darkness. And that's what Secretary Rubio is saying. It can be beautiful. It can be rebuilt. You know, let's not, for a second, let's take our concentration off of how, but the why and the what of what it can be and why it's important to make this soar, to make this like Mogadishu type thing, turn it into like the south of France. I'm using other countries to kind of give you, a visualization. We could make it beautiful. Let's make Gaza beautiful again. Let's make it Jewish again. Let's make it Israeli again. Let's make it biblical again. Let's make it alive again. Let's make it good for people again. That is what I think I'm trying to riff off of the words of the Secretary of State. Let's just do Rubio, as he is now on the Israel side of things, and as he joins Prime Minister Netanyahu at the Kotel. Let's see that. Okay, you could see Prime Minister Netanyahu, then Rubio, and then, of course, Ambassador Huckabee. No. Guys, this isn't a cash machine, okay? It's like they're taking out bills out of it. Kotel cash machine would be nice. Like, doot. Come on, Lord, I need some help. But they are there, and this is putting a message of prayer. That's a cool thing, that people can go to the Western Wall and do a message of prayer. That's what Jerusalem is. It's a hotline to God. It's a spiritual center. It's a way to connect to God's energy. And you know what? Rubio is a very strong Bible guy. He's an Israel guy. He's a Jerusalem guy. He's a Bible guy. He's a history guy. He's an archaeology guy. Okay, so that's Rubio at the Western Wall, and that's Netanyahu explaining to him about it. And it's powerful stuff indeed, powerful stuff indeed. Let's hope that truth will come out. Let's hope that Rubio and Netanyahu come to smart decisions about actually getting rid of bad guys. The problem is we always let these bad guys get away. We always let them hide behind, the masks that Qatar and Turkey and Egypt put up. And they are masters of double-facedness. They are masters of the double game. They're masters of ta'qiyah. They're masters of that game. And in order to actually free our region from jihadism, we've got to stop funding it. We got to help refugees out. And we've got to see that jihadism is a global scourge, which is attacking America in that double-faced way on American campuses and American media. And what we talked about, Charlie Kirk's analysis, which is so correct, which is that Marxism and wokeism work together with jihadism to undermine a freedom-loving civilization. All right. So that's Marco Rubio, and we want to bless you, Marco. Thank you for blessing Israel. Thank you for coming to the city of David and seeing that connection between the Bible and modern state of Israel, and what Charlie Kirk said, which is when you come to the land of Israel, that demythologizes the Bible and makes it real. The Bible is real, is real. There you go. Israel is real. And finally, got to listen to Charlie. Start keeping that Sabbath. Start taking a break. And I even allow you to take a break from this show on the Sabbath, take a digital detox, and turn your life towards God on the Sabbath. 3 pieces of advice to get closer to Israel and Jerusalem and the holiness. 1, face Jerusalem. 2, drink wine from the land of Israel or something else, even if it's potato chip from the land of Israel. And finally, start keeping that Sabbath. That's my advice to you. And of course, my other advice is stay connected to us. We're doing our best to broadcast so much from the good land, from the land of Israel. Lots of love, lots of blessings from the land of blessings. May Hashem be with you wherever you are, with good energy from the land of good energy, wherever you are. Shalom, shalom, shalom.